we live in an age where we are bombarded with social media and mass marketing and, pharmaceutical industries that are backing nutritional science research projects. And, everyone's in each other's pockets, and the information out there is so clouded. No one really knows what to believe anymore. But because of all that, we have gotten completely disconnected from that innate knowing.
Welcome to The Reluctant Medium, where we cover the gamut of out there conversations. With an open mind and a curious heart, we want to talk about it all, from psychic phenomena and energy medicine to beings from other star systems and out-of-body experiences. You'll find a great balance between grounded science-backed topics and others that science hasn't quite caught up to yet. I'm your host, Dr. Maria Rothenberger, a psychotherapist by trade and a reluctant spirit baby communicator. And hey, even though I'm a medium, I'm not buying everything folks are selling. I just have a voracious appetite to know more about what I call the world of the weird. Join us on your favorite podcast platform or watch on YouTube at The Reluctant Medium. I'll see you there. Hey, welcome everyone back to the Reluctant Medium podcast. Today's guest, it's no understatement to say this person changed my life. And you would think, okay, it's something mental health related or spiritual related. And it is. It comes around to that. But I have to tell you, kind of embarrassingly, for the first time publicly, it was like 3 years before I finally listened to my guides who told me I really had to pay attention to what I was putting in my body. And it took me getting deathly ill, not literally. I was very ill, but it was like a month of illness before I reached out to now my beloved friend, Dr. Caroline Huarte, and said, I freaking need help. And she was like, I got your back. Welcome, Dr. Caroline.
So good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm so stoked to have you. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to start, but I'm just going to dive in because really, I still do. It's been a couple of years now, and I still do the things that Dr. Caroline prescribed. And it's just, my life is just so much more vivid and just lovely. Just lovely. I feel more myself than ever. And yeah, so I just want to start with, who are you and what do you do? And why do you do what you do? How'd you come to do it?
Okay. It's a long story-ish, but I'll try to wrap it up sweet. So my name is Dr. Caroline Huarte, and I am a licensed clinical psychologist and a board-certified behavior analyst. And I worked for many, many years in the autism and behavioral health space. In my last, big corporate type position, I was running an applied behavior analysis therapy company, overseeing lots of staff, training, working with kids and families, and that was my passion. But I think secondarily to that, I always have had a passion for holistic health. And, after dealing with some of my own health challenges, sort of went down a rabbit hole of studying health and nutrition. And I think first it started as, listening to podcasts and reading books. And then I thought, I need to go to school for this. So a number of years ago, I went back to school after getting a PhD and doing all those things and got my functional nutritional therapy practitioner certification. Initially, I think just for my own knowledge, I wanted more information to help myself and my future family someday. And then I realized, oh my God, this is like mind-blowing information and everybody needs to know this. And how already having the mental health background and the behavior change background, what a beautiful pairing to bring in that holistic nutrition piece to heal. Well, I can't use the word heal, but to help people on their health journey.
So lame.
Mind, body, spirit, because as you've spoken about many times on your show, that's who we are. We're not just the mind or the body or the spirit. We're everything rolled into one. So yeah, I'm a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. And when people tell me, ask me in an elevator, what do you do? I tell people I'm a nutritional psychologist because that sort of feel like wraps everything up into one sweet description. Then I can explain from there what that is. And then I'm also a certified integrative mental health practitioner. I have that certification as well. And so I was laid off from that last job that I was explaining about and took that as a sign from the universe to follow my intuition and go do this nutrition training program that I had been wanting to do for years. And it was the best thing I've ever done. And I now have my own business, Nourish and Flourish Holistic Psychology, where I do some psychotherapy, I do some nutritional therapy, some behavior coaching stuff, and I roll that all into one. And I don't have, a specific clientele necessarily that I work with, I know in the business marketing space, we have to niche down, but I have this passion for what I do and I just want to help anyone and everyone. So if you have a health issue or a mental health issue, like, come on, we can work on any and all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to live a good life? Go see Dr. Caroline.
I love that. I'm going to get a shirt made.
Yes, get a shirt made. Hey, you want to live a good life? Here you go. I can attest to that. I'm telling you, I've talked about you on my podcast because I can't say enough phenomenal things about not just like working with you. Obviously, that's beautiful and wonderful. You're a lovely human, but the freaking results are just astounding. It's hard to believe that this simple and okay, so I know you can't call it healing, but I'm going to say I felt healed after working with you. And it was only freaking 90 days, Caroline. It was like 3 months of concerted effort. I'm like, you tell me what to do, I'm doing it. I did it except for one thing, which I want to talk about, which is so cool working with you. And it was, it's just a crazy change in my life. So,
so when clients come to me, it's one of the main things that I tell them, because I always offer like a discovery call up front, is partly that's to gather some information, make sure we're a good fit for working with one another. But the body has an innate knowing of what it needs. But we live in an age where we are bombarded with social media and mass marketing and, pharmaceutical industries that are backing nutritional science research projects. And, everyone's in each other's pockets and the information out there is so clouded, right? No one really knows what to believe anymore. But because of all that, we have gotten just completely disconnected from that innate knowing. And so what I really work with many clients is to tap back into that, and there are some, things that science has shown us that these things are more health promoting than others, right? But we're all different. The foundation of what we do in nutritional therapy is that everything's bio-individual. So what works for you is very different than what may work for me, because we all come at things with a different age and, sex and activity level and phase of life that we're in that dictates nutritionally what we need to put into our systems. So also cultural heritage and all those kinds of things play into that. So it's really very custom tailored to the individual, but really helping people tap back into that knowing of what their body needs is a big part.
Yes. Well, that's true. Right on. Exactly what I was going to say, except the one thing. That's the one thing that I rejected was it was like a sugar challenge or something, no sugar challenge. And I was like, this doesn't feel right to me. And you're like, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And it was like, wait, what? You're like the pro and you're saying, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Because of that message, you have, your body knows, you have an innate knowing, you need to trust that. Yes, I have 100 letters after my name. And I think you literally do have 100 letters.
I don't know. I've never added them up, but there's a lot.
There's so many. This woman knows a lot, you guys. She knows a lot. But you still defer to the person and who they are and what they are tapping into in their own body's wisdom. That's what I wanted to highlight about that. It was so great working with you because of that. I will say, though, this isn't just like, people say the woo. It isn't like, oh, we're just going to tap into divine light and see. No, you're like, okay, here's an inventory that I want you to take. I want you to talk about all your symptoms, all of, how you're pooping, how you're peeing, what your activity level is like, what, I want you to do this diary of like food that, for, I don't remember what it was, a week or 3 days or something. I don't remember that, but Yeah. And it's like sound scientific, evidence-based data gathering. And then you show, look, here's where you are. There's a graph that you can see where your symptoms are. And then you test again at the end of it and show where the graph has moved, hopefully for the better, and what still can be worked on or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not just, it's like everything. It's mind, body, spirit, I think. I felt brighter, happier, more thrivey, more flourishy.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we're just sort of, again, clouded by like what we consider to be the standard American diet, right? Or the SAD diet, as I like to call it.
Oh,
It's pretty heavily processed, right? Full of refined sugar, unhealthy seed oils, but it's just what's convenient, what's in the brightly colored package that's marketed really beautifully to us that says healthy and all natural on the front. And so we just consume that and go on with our day and don't really think about it. And then we wonder why we have chronic pain and fatigue and, brain fog and irritability and mood disorders and all kinds of things. But it all comes back to the foundations. So this, the assessment that you're talking about that I do with all of my clients, it's called the Nutritional Assessment Questionnaire. And it asks I think it's 350 questions or something. And it's somewhat subjective based on the individual client's report, right? Because they're just rating on a scale of how frequently that symptom or, item is in their life. But it gives me this beautiful graph of what I consider the foundations of health. So those main things are are digestion. So how optimal your digestive system is working, north to south. So are you producing enough stomach acid and enzymes and bile? And how's your small intestine and large intestine functioning? What's the state of your microbiome? It looks at blood sugar regulation. So those are the two big keys, digestion and blood sugar. It looks at stress, sleep, how much you're moving, your overall nutrient density of your diet. Are you getting enough vitamins, minerals, fatty acids? Are you hydrating? Most of this nation is so severely dehydrated. That is at the root of a lot of problems. So while we have, reportable symptoms like eczema or brain fog or depression or autoimmune disease or whatever it may be, those are the consequential or secondary things to those foundations being out of balance. So regardless of what someone comes to me for, if they want to just come to a nutritionist for weight loss, right? I always say that's a positive side effect usually of working on the foundations. That once you got the body back into homeostasis, things will find their natural rhythm. And
yes.
really working with people to just clean up that standard American diet to real whole foods and properly preparing foods and pairing foods with each other well so that
Yes.
your energy and mood are stable and you're getting all the key nutrients that you need. Yeah.
It's really cool. Yes. The gut health. Yeah. That's what you diagnosed me with, leaky gut. And that was just like a game changer for me. Like, what? So all the things that I've been trying to do are just going bye-bye. Like they're not being absorbed or taken, used properly. What I was going to say too, for the listener slash YouTube watcher, that some of the recommendations, well, I'll speak from my personal experience, were counter to what I would have thought. For example, because you talk about not just food, you talk about movement and meditation and these kinds of things, right? Mind, body, soul. I was I really knew that my body was so unhealthy. I had been packing on the pounds. I didn't understand why. I thought that I had to be running 5 miles a day or something. And your recommendation was actually to be more gentle with my body because I was in adrenal fatigue. And I went, oh, what? You need to be, yeah. You need to be kind to yourself right now. It's temporary and you can start. And I did start running again, by the way. But I had to heal first. Again, you didn't call it healing. I call it healing. I had to take care of this first. I had to take care of my body first and get out of adrenal fatigue. And it was counter to what I thought, right? So we are told, oh, you want to lose belly fat? Do X, do Y, do Z. And what you suggested was not that. It was very different. And water was a massive, just going to say water with electrolytes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another
not
thing.
sponsored by them, but I tell everybody on the planet to drink their product. It's amazing.
You do. It's so good. It's been, I don't know, almost 2 years now. Has it been 2 years? No, I don't even know how long. Year and a half. And I'm still, doing my life. Because that's another thing you said is that we actually don't get enough salt. And I went, wait, what? Is that why I'm such a salt junkie?
Yeah, the right kind of salt, right?
That's right.
If you're eating, bags of Lay's chips all day, you're getting sodium. Processed food does have a lot of sodium in it, but it's the quality of sodium and if it's got a mineral profile. And, again, if you're drinking water and you're trying to hydrate really well, but you're just drinking lots of plain water, you're flushing a lot of minerals out of your body. And then the more that you're trying to eat, a whole food diet, unless you're salting your food, there's not a lot of natural salt, right, in a sweet potato or steak, whatever. So you have to be adding that to your food. Our body needs sodium for like cell to cell communication. It's crucial. So making sure all those things in place.
Yeah. And did I read on it's Element, by the way, for folks who are listening, LMNT, drinkelement.com, I think is their website. And we are not sponsors of them. They're just phenomenal. I think it was on their website, or maybe you told me this, that the recommendation from, what is it, the American Diet, so I don't even know what they are, but it's too low. I don't know who does the recommendations, but it's too, or the CDC. No, that's the disease center.
Probably
American
FDA. I don't even know. I don't know.
Yes,
but
FDA. It's like super low compared to what we actually need of good quality sodium. Yeah, it's crazy. The things that you've taught me are counter to what mainstream says.
Yeah.
Not everything.
Thing. It's interesting. Sodium is actually what got me into this in the first place. All of this.
What?
This is the beginning of my journey.
What? Tell that story.
I was working like a 65 plus hour a week job. I was super stressed out. My dad was really in failing health and I was getting called to like come and say goodbye. He's on his way out. And then I'd rush up there and he'd make a recovery. And so I'd come back. And it was just a really stressful time in my life. And, I grew up in the era of Kate Moss being the physical ideal. And, I think women in our society are taught you need to eat less and be smaller and take up less space and all of that. That could probably be a whole separate podcast topic. But so I found myself in a place where I was tracking everything on like a food tracker app, right? And how few calories could I get in? And then it got to the point where I was trying to eat clean, right? So I was basically at this point vegan, living on spring mix, not salting anything, probably not drinking anywhere near enough water and doing hot yoga every day. So like sweating, and I was ill and I didn't know what was going on. I was just having these crazy symptoms where I would start shaking and feeling like I was going to pass out, like that pre-syncope fainting type feeling. And it would happen at work while I was working with kids, and it would happen while I was driving my car between clients. And it was like the scariest thing. So scary. Yeah. And it almost felt like a little bit like a panic attack. And I had a mother who was diabetic. So I was like, weird, is my blood sugar off? Is that why I'm shaking? But it was never blood glucose. And I don't know how I knew. This comes back to the innate knowing piece. One day I just grabbed salt and I poured it in my hand and I ate it. And
my gosh.
And I felt
wow.
And my body was just like crying out for like basic minerals and nutrients. Like it was causing all kinds of heart stuff and brain stuff. And I was just nutrient deficient and so I slowly started educating myself out of that. And it's interesting. I was, I'd go to the doctors and they'd be like, all your labs are normal, you're fine. And then I found one doctor who did some extra tests and he diagnosed me with POTS syndrome, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia. And the interesting thing is when I hydrate and I eat a nutrient dense diet and I get enough salt, I'm fine. I have no symptoms.
Wow.
So I think whether I have that or not, it's a state of the body just being so depleted.
Yeah.
So then, of course, then I started deep diving down all the different nutritional avenues, and then I went back to school, and here we are. But
Wow.
yeah, salt was my thing. I used to get coconut water and just pour salt in it, shake it up, and drink it because I was getting
Oh,
potassium and sodium. It was like my natural electrolyte, but I needed like copious amounts of salt to get back on
wow.
track. And then I slowly started integrating more animal products back into my diet, and
Mhm.
I think I'm doing pretty great.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you are. You definitely are. Well, you've helped me, and I don't even know how many others to navigate through this way of being that I think has really just exploded even the work that I do, mental health stuff, but I'm way more in the spiritual realm now, and connecting to the other side has really been enhanced by, and they told me
Yeah,
that. My guides are like, the work that you're going to be doing requires a healthy body, a sound body.
cleared.
And yeah, yeah, clear channel. I wanted to ask you because I personally, with the interview questions that you ask, and you might have known this already because I've talked about this publicly, that I struggled with an eating disorder. And you were so sensitive with that. So, like, I didn't want to track anything is quite triggering for me. I didn't want to track how much, the only thing I tracked was water, but everything else, how much food I was eating, anything that I could not do that. It's still like, I have a visceral reaction right now to tracking shit. It's awful for me. And you were like, cool, don't do it.
Yeah. Actually, something I ask most female clients,
Mm,
whether they even want to do it or not. And like part of my assessment is obviously having someone keep a food journal for just a couple of days because it's a wealth of information for me. And I always say there's no judgment from me what you put on there, but the more information you provide, the more info I'm going to get about what's actually going on in your body. So if we can just do it for a couple days, that's great. But I do, coming from a history of that myself, I don't like tracking stuff because I did it for so long. And it's a trigger for me to get too like in my head about stuff.
yeah.
And some people swear by getting on the scale every morning and weighing themselves to keep themselves on track. I threw my scale away.
I don't own one.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. So, but to each their own, right? But I think you have to know that stuff. Like, again, kind of coming from a disordered eating past myself,
Yeah.
I'm sensitive to that with people.
Yeah, and I wondered about other things that, because you're a psychologist, right? And you're in the mental health
Yeah.
arena, I wonder about many other struggles that people have with food and relationship with food. And that I think is unique to you because you can support people through that. It's not just the here's the food.
Mhm.
It and here and track it please. It's like all of the things that surround relationship with food, especially in the US.
Yeah.
It's
Well, I mean, think about it. There's so much cultural importance that, I mean, food is a part of what brings families together, right?
yes. Yeah.
And at a very basic level, when you boil it down, food is the one thing we can control that we can soothe ourselves with and we can
Yes.
nurture ourselves with.
Mhm.
And so that can become disordered in multiple ways, right? If there's
Yeah.
other emotional things at the root of that. So I'm also trained, I haven't taught it in a while, but I offer an intuitive eating like group program. And
Cool.
so we talk a lot about that, right? Like what are some of the reasons why maybe we eat? Are we truly hungry? Like getting people again to tune back into their physical body. Is it actually hunger or is it an emotional need for something? Are you bored? Are you looking for, companionship? Are you, you know, looking for consistency and things to always be the same because your life has been unpredictable? Like, I mean, there's so many different avenues that it can go.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, talking about that in a group space where everyone's kind of there for the same
Yes. Oh
reason
my
is
gosh.
really powerful. Sometimes
I
just
can
that you're not
imagine.
alone in that.
Yes, and also the way that you work is it just creates a sense of truly non-judgment and just total safety. It's really really cool, I bet.
Mm.
I wonder what you think about indulgence. Like here's where I'm coming from. My boyfriend likes to say one of his favorite things to do at the end of the day is just sit in bed with a bowl of blueberries. Yum. He's not hungry. He
Amazing.
just wants to sit there with a bowl of blueberries.
I mean,
What
that
do you
sounds
think
like
about that?
my kind of guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, life is also supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of like he's probably in some way tuning in and listening to his body and what it needs, right? I mean, if you want to sit and eat a gallon of ice cream every night, like once in a while, cool, but I'm of the mind that there's no like food does not have morality. There's no inherent good or bad in food, but some just are more health promoting than others, right? So blueberries are going to be way more health promoting than ice cream. It doesn't mean that you can't eat ice cream ever again. You know what I mean? It's tuning into your body and like, how do I feel when I eat ice cream? If I eat it every night, you might feel like dampened in some ways. And how's your sleep? Are you able to get up and do that workout that you wanted to do the next morning? Or are you just like exhausted because you've been up all night with blood sugar spikes and crashes? Like
Yeah.
it's also going to cause inflammation in your body, right? Just copious amounts of sugar and trans fats and a host of other things are going to leave you feeling achy and fatigued and just not motivated to do anything, right? So the more we can stick to like those whole foods, that the more vibrant and clear you're going to be.
Yeah, and how you're talking right now makes me think, oh, it's just information. Like it's just data. Just like when you asked me to do that food journal for the first few days, it
Mhm.
was just data. There wasn't like, oh,
Right.
uh-oh, she's eating french fries. It was like, okay, how does even like you pointed out, hey, Maria, when you have oatmeal in the morning, those same afternoons you have fatigue or you get tired.
Yeah.
So maybe try eating XYZ or whatever.
Right.
It was just data. It wasn't even like there's no judgment really.
Mhm.
It's just useful information. And so right, if you eat a gallon of ice cream every night, see how you feel. I mean, I doubt that you would feel energized and like happy, but hey, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. I like that approach.
Yeah.
It's just so gentle and kind. And I think that it's also so empowering because you encourage folks to take a look at your own body. And we are
Yeah.
so disconnected a lot, like you said in the very beginning, right? We're so disconnected from our bodies a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And there's, even things that we don't see, right? So gut health is like my big thing that I'm super passionate about. There's research now to show that like the gut and the state of your microbiome is so crucially linked to your skin and your brain health and your immune health and your cardiovascular health, and the list goes on. So you may not be able to necessarily see, or you may not have overt, say, digestive symptoms, but there may be some other like thing going on. You may suffer from severe cystic acne. And you're like, why? What is this hormonal? What's going on? A lot of it's driven by the gut and the state of your gut health and microbiome. So I really work a lot with people to clean that all up and get them back on track. I'm able to order labs too. So I can order like comprehensive stool analysis to really look, is there viruses or pathogens or parasites and yeast overgrowth or what's going on? So we can put people on a supplement protocol that's really going to help get them back on track and clear that out.
right. And PS, just like the fertility world, nothing is TMI for Dr. Caroline. It's just like all out there.
I could talk poop all day.
I know. What does your poop look like? It's hilarious. It's so great. And it really is like,
Yeah.
just like the fertility world, right? Speaking of fertility,
Mhm.
I'm wondering because a lot of folks that listen to this podcast were, listeners of my previous podcast, the Miracles Happen Fertility podcast. You conceived a baby
Yeah.
in like the geriatric stupid word
Yeah.
age range. So
Yeah.
lame. And I wonder about that being a huge there are other things too, but I wonder about nutrition and taking care of the body being a huge factor for folks. Do people go to you for fertility stuff ever?
Occasionally. occasionally.
Yeah.
And I am relatively well versed in that because of my own personal experience. So yeah, I think how we initially got connected is that I was going through my own fertility challenge. I don't call
Yeah.
it fertility. I hate that word very much.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I had, you know, a part of me doing all this health and nutrition research was wrapped in with my fertility journey, right? So it was me like deep diving down avenues to figure out what was going on because I was experiencing recurrent miscarriage.
Mm.
So never seemed to have a problem getting pregnant. It was staying pregnant. So in total, I think I've lost 9 babies.
Mm.
I have 2 babies here, first side, who are just awesome
Mm-hmm.
and full of energy and the best thing ever. And I firmly
They
believe that they come when they're meant to, and that for whatever reason I had to go through that journey, as crappy as it was.
Mhm.
I learned things in that. But yeah, I learned all kinds of things about the appropriate kinds of prenatal vitamins that you should be taking and the nutrients you should be getting and why it's better to get things in their whole form and from food rather than synthetic, powders
Yeah.
and things. Looking at, ancestral diets and how they supported fertility was a big piece of that. So, not just for women as well. Like we know that,
Mhm.
what is it? At least 50% of miscarriages due to male factor, fertility
Mhm.
related
Mhm.
stuff. So, it was getting my husband on board with taking certain supplements and vitamins and cleaning up his diet and all of the things. Easier said than done. But here we are. We made
Yes.
But yeah, so and there's, a wealth of information out there in the functional health space on fertility that you can, promote fertility and egg health and sperm health well into your 40s. So
So great.
I was blessed. I had my babies at 38 and 43.
So great.
Yeah.
So great. Let that be hope for everyone out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's definitely something I love to talk about. And if anyone's interested in working, send them my way for sure.
Yes. I do. nourishandflourishpsych.com. We are going to be talking about all the ways that people can connect with you too at the end, and it'll all be, linked in the show notes, etc. Okay. I have a pretty important question,
Okay.
and it's a little controversial.
Okay.
Vegetarianism,
Mhm.
being vegan.
Mhm.
I read a book called How Not to Die.
Okay.
Dr. McGregor. I don't know if you've heard of him, but pretty
And I've heard the title of the book. But I don't know of the author.
okay, pretty big name in the vegan sort of arena. And he talks down animal products. Not like you need to get rid of all of them. It's like 5% is a good number to have in your
Okay.
diet. And I'm wondering what you think about that.
Yeah. So I will preface that my training is more in ancestral nutrition. And what we know and what the data shows is that there's really no one culture that's ever survived without animal products in their diet
Mhm.
in some form or another. And you hear now, right? There's the keto diet and the carnivore diet and the vegan diet. And it's just so much information. Again, it comes back to bio-individuality. What does
Yes.
your unique body and makeup and cultural heritage mean for you? Some people just don't feel as great on as much animal product as others. Some people are just allergic or intolerant to certain dairy proteins, for example. As much of a bummer, like I can't eat eggs. I
Mm.
will vomit all day if I eat eggs. It's
Ooh.
it's a bummer because they're amazing for you. But although I don't know, I've done so much work now. Who knows? I may be able to eat eggs. I just a little bit of PTSD. I don't know if I ever want to try them again.
Yeah, that's true.
um, but that said, I firmly believe that in order to thrive, you need protein. Like, we talk about the 3 core macronutrients, there's carbs, protein, and fat. And we need protein in order to grow and build and maintain healthy muscle, right? And if you want to age well, you need to be lifting weights and you need to be eating protein,
Mhm.
and the older you get, the more protein you need. What we know about protein is that in order for you to get the most bang for your buck, you need proteins that have a full essential amino acid profile. So the only foods that contain full amino acid profile are animal foods. So, you're going to be able to go much further by incorporating those into your diet. And it took me a long time to kind of reintegrate those. I had convinced myself, that they were going to make me sick somehow or they were dirty in some way, right? And everybody comes at vegetarian and veganism for different reasons. Some of it's moral, some of it's,
Sure.
religious. I'm not here to kind of knock any of that.
Mhm.
For me, a big part of why I didn't want to eat meat was because of the way that animal products are conventionally farmed here.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
It's
Right.
gross. Mhm.
We do know too that the better quality animal products that you buy, so the grass-fed meats, the grass-fed and grass-finished, or the pasture-raised poultry and eggs are going to be way more nutrient dense than the conventionally farmed counterpart, right? So if you're going to have a ribeye, for example, animals store their toxins in their fat tissue just like we do. So when you're eating a conventionally farmed ribeye steak and ingesting some of that fat, you're taking in everything, the antibiotics, the steroids, all of the things that they consumed as well. Versus the grass-fed, grass-finished, like it actually has a way more nutrient dense profile. There's more omega-3 fatty acids in grass-fed steak than in regular steak. So you're just getting more of the good stuff. Same with eggs. If you've ever looked at an organic, pasture raised egg versus a like basic store bought whatever egg, the yolk is a completely different color.
It's crazy
Like
how
a deep
golden it is.
orange versus a pale yellow, right?
Yeah.
And butter, the same. Grass-fed butter is going to be that bright yellow color. So you know that you're getting the nutrient density. And then also part of that, and coming back to eating the animal products, is our ancestors ate nose to tail, right? So they ate
Mhm.
the skin and they chewed meat off bones and they were getting the collagen and, the gelatin, and they boiled the bones down into soup and made broths, and we should be doing that. They ate the organ meats. Organ meats, like the most nutrient dense food you could possibly eat. Hard to choke down,
Mm.
but we should be incorporating those definitely into our diets.
I saw something recently about a liver beet smoothie or something, and I went, "What?"
Super good for you.
Dr. Caroline would be rooting that all day long.
Yes. Well, I mean, I will say I have a hard time getting liver down. So I take it in a capsule. You can buy
Oh,
it
okay.
desiccated in a capsule and you just pop it down like a vitamin and there you go. You got your daily dose of organ meats. So
Okay. What about beets, though? They just taste like dirt,
I
Caroline.
love them so much. Pair it with goat cheese, the best thing ever. That was my obsession in my last pregnancy.
I will say you recommended a fermented beet, like, product. I can't what's it called?
It's a beet kraut.
Beet kraut. Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I will do it. I will do it." And it wasn't bad. Beets are still not my favorite, but it wasn't bad.
My toddler, I sent her to school with beet kraut and olives in her lunch,
Oh,
and she loves all
that's
the
so
salty stuff.
great.
Yeah.
That's so great. I mean, right, when you raise kids eating this way, they learn
Mhm.
that develop a taste for it, right?
Yeah.
I will say too, we keep talking about this, but individual, like bio-individual, I definitely am not a big dairy person. I love cheese, which is so sad, but I I have I just don't feel good when I eat a lot of dairy. So there's that. But then also, my favorite food on the entire planet, avocados.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
They're the best.
Yes, but I can't have well, I can, but
Small
you told me about this cool thing, tongue testing, and I'd love for you to tell people how to do this, but I did that and on with avocado and it was fine. So I put avocado oil on my morning it's a morning salad now, really. It's all rainbow color veggies and a couple of hard-boiled eggs, and I vomited.
Yeah.
And I realized it's the oil. Oh my
Mhm.
god, it's the oil that I have a problem with. So the actual, like, flesh of the avocado, obviously, there's a lot of oil in it, but my body's okay with that, but to
All
have
doses. Yeah.
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 So it's so fascinating, right? You think, oh, this is super healthy, but my body is like, no, it's not. Nope. I don't like this. So can you tell people though
Yeah.
about that?
So it's called Coca's pulse testing. And it's a way for you to just kind of get a read for how your body reacts to certain things. So what you want to do is kind of sit down, feet flat on the floor, kind of just take a couple deep breaths, and then you want to take your pulse for a full minute and kind of get your baseline pulse. And then what you want to do is if you want to test a food to see if you're intolerant to it, you can just take a bite of something, hold it in your mouth, and there's all kinds of nerve endings in your mouth that go straight through your central nervous system. So if you want to say, am I allergic to bananas? You can take a bite of banana, hold it in your mouth. No need to chew, don't need to swallow, nothing. Hold it there for about 30 seconds, and then you want to sit and take your pulse again for another full minute. And if your pulse goes up by 6 or more beats per minute, it's a sign that it's a stress a little bit to your system. So there's that.
So maybe don't consume that item.
Yeah. But the idea being you want to test the food as close to its natural whole state as you can, right? So if you want to test banana, do banana, not banana bread, because you don't know if it's the wheat flour or the egg or the butter or whatever else it may be that's in there, right? So as close to its natural whole state as possible.
Yeah. It's magic. Not really, but it seems like magic. It's so cool to know. And then,
I remember being in class when we were learning that. And I was like, the PhD doctoral student who'd done like research science. And I was like, raise my hand. I'm like, how? Give me the data and the science behind this. And it's still kind of unclear to me, but it works.
It does. And that's the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's totally the point. I love it. I love it. It's such a useful tool. That and many more things you can learn from Dr. Caroline Huarte on nourishandflourishpsych.com. Is that the right website?
Yes, it is.
I yes.
For a second. Yes.
Yeah. Is that the best place folks can find you, or are there other places?
Yeah, they can always submit a request for a discovery call through my website, or I'm at Dr. Huarte at nourishandflourishpsych.com. That's my email. I'm on Instagram at nourishandflourishpsych, and I believe Facebook is the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't been on social media much. I'm like,
yep.
It's a lot, but
you and me both. You and me both. Yes. Yes. Well, if folks do travel to your social media sites, get ready to see a ton of beautiful food. I mean, just beautiful food. Yum, yum, yum. Awesome. I actually get like excited now looking at pretty food. Like I'll get on Pinterest and I'll be like, oh my God, it's so pretty to look at all those colors. All right. Anything new that you're working on? Will you do that group again, you think? Or
I would love to. Yeah. It's a matter of having enough people interested at once. So,
ooh, so cool.
If interested, definitely reach out.
Oh my gosh. If you are interested, please.
Held online, so you can be anywhere.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
He's so great. I love it.
Yeah. So I offer that intuitive eating class. It's a 7-week class called Finally Free. And then I also offer a 5-week like basic health reset, like we go over the basics of digestion and blood sugar and all of that stuff. And that's called Restart. And I do individual coaching. I offer psychotherapy.
Yeah. And she'll wash your windows. No, I'm just kidding. You do everything. Oh my God. All right, Caroline, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your wisdom. Thank you for joining the Reluctant Medium podcast today. I hope that this episode has brought you beautiful, high vibration, and that it continues emanating from your heart space for the rest of the day and beyond. Don't forget to join The Reluctant Medium on patreon.com, and you can also visit thereluctantmedium.us and the Reluctant Medium TV show on newrealitytv.com. Until next time, my friend, may you be well.